All right, this is a video that I didn't really plan on making and very different from most videos that I would make. But I've been using Cursor for a little over a year maybe now. I use it for my daily job. I am a developer, but personally, for the last couple of months, I've been using Cursor for something completely different, something that doesn't really do with code, more of a organization, kind of lifestyle organization thing. And in the process of doing this, I think I've come up with a structure that I really like, I'm really enjoying, and I think it's worth sharing with the world out there because everybody's showing what they're doing with a lot of AI tools and how it's helping them. So I figured it's something that I could share as well. And again, I do come from a coding background, so living in Cursor is something that works for me. I don't expect that this setup would work perfectly for everybody, but if there's something that you can get out of it that's unique or something that you could implement in your workflow, that's why I'm making this video. So without further ado, let me quickly show you my screen. And this is Cursor, and you can see kind of the file tree of my, what I called LifeBot project. And of course, I do have another project, not just this one, that is a research project for TXGarage, which is a publication that I run. We'll dive further into those. You can see I have them styled very differently and a little bit different use cases for both. So let's dive in first with talking a little bit about the idea, the core concepts for this style of a project. First idea, everything lives as markdown, readable files, local storage, easy to manage and read and look at. Everything on my computer, nothing hosted in the cloud, nothing using a third-party application except for Cursor, of course, but nothing locked into a SaaS. And I know there are other tools that will do something similar to this, but I felt like using Cursor gave me kind of all the tools that I needed into one package. And again, works for me and my brain, might not work for you and what you're doing, but hopefully you'll get something out of this. Let's go back to looking at the screen and diving right in. First off, I have this old notes folder, and this is kind of one of the first things that I added here. So I took notes from Google Drive, from Apple Notes, I summarized chats that I was having with ChatGPT and Grok, and then other just notes, even just screenshots that I had laying around of things that I wanted to remember. I gathered all those up, put them into a format that an AI could read. So mostly markdown files, screenshots, text files, some PDFs, even though some bots have trouble reading with PDFs. Gathered all those up, threw them in here. Then my first task was having the AI actually organize those into something kind of coherent. And then I used those old notes to kind of build up the structure of what I have here, plus some just the ideas that I had going around. So I have a lot of work projects, side projects, things going on, and all of those will live in the work folder. I take daily notes and keep track of just daily things, and those all live here. Personal data that we don't need to get into in this video. People, which are people that I know from employers, employees, family, TXGarage, other social contacts, things like that. A separate thing for ideas that can be organized, financial things, other family data here. And we'll get into these last two, the apps and the bot talk folder, in a bit. Especially that bot talk folder is a bit interesting, and we'll touch on it briefly. But first, again, why Cursor? Why does this work for me? Well, first off, you do have a file tree here, so you can see all these files. And I do actually dig in and look at these files every so often. As a matter of fact, I built up the script, or at least the draft for the script here. And you can see that here, and you do have a good markdown preview, so you can read it well instead of just seeing the markdown text here. And if you're not familiar with Markdown, it's just an easy way to mark up a text file so that it can be previewed and look a little bit more pretty. And Cursor does that really well with a really quick toggle here. You also obviously have the chat agent right here in Cursor, and you can feed it specific files for context, or you have Cursor commands, Cursor rules, Cursor skills that all help drive the AI agent to know better what it's doing inside of this project that I have. Another great thing that Cursor gives you are diffs. So a diff is basically looking at what the file was before and what it is now after you change something, or more importantly, after the agent changes something. One of the cool things I like about Cursor and having a diff system that some other things don't give you necessarily is being able to see that, being able to know what changed and read through it before you accept it. And especially starting this thing out, that helps really hone in what it's doing right and what it's doing wrong, because it does do some things wrong. And before we move too much further, let's talk quickly about rules and this bot talk folder. So I set this up with a few key rules. A lot of people put like coding rules into their rules file. Mine here is mainly about the structure of this project and setting up meet Eli. So while working on this project, I really wanted it to feel like a collaboration with AI more than just a chat or me giving commands to anything. So I actually took inspiration from an interview with the guy that started Claude Bot. I don't remember his name now, but he was having an interview and talked about how you can kind of curate your agent to meet your personality and things like that. So I thought I'd try that here, and I actually asked the agent to give itself a name. It chose Eli. I have it able to update all of its own files. So we have this section here in the rules file for agent created notes, which is the bot talk folder. So basically this is persistent memory for the AI agent. So it knows to go and read through some of those conversations that it had or files that it saved by itself. It also has permission to update and write to this core rules file. Obviously, I see the diff if it does that, but if it thinks that it can improve itself by doing something, it has permission to do it by itself. Now, as much as I've kind of prompted towards it doing that, it will never do it by itself that I found, unless I tell it, hey, go reread the rules file and update it if it needs to be. It hasn't tried to just do it by itself. Same thing with the bot talk folder. Whenever I started it, it wouldn't just add notes in there by itself. So I had to kind of tell it and force it, like at least once during every conversation, to add some kind of note in there. And it's got quite a bit in there now. From some just daily captures to some playbooks, other logs, and things that it could archive. And I actually don't even always read what it puts into its own stuff. Sometimes I do. Sometimes it's interesting. Most of the time, it's just regurgitating the same thing that it wrote in other files for me. But it has created itself this open loop system where it will save an idea or a piece of information that it didn't really save into my to-dos or my notes, but it'll save it in its notes, and it will bring it back up to me in a couple of days saying, oh, we never really finished talking about this, which is kind of interesting. All right, and we're looking here at the project that I call LifeBot. Probably could be called something better, but I kind of just started it, and it's kind of evolved even in the couple of months that I started it. And one of the biggest things that I use it for, like I said, is just daily notes. So I do have Cursor commands. One of them is for a daily command here, but it also has a bunch of skills that it knows it can use, from capturing to-dos to reminders or different things like that as well. So I can just do a / command for daily. and just let it know I'm filming currently the video for the LifeBot project, something that is in my to-dos. It will go through, decipher what I just told it, know that it's a daily command. One of the things that I have in there is to always put dates on things and base that date on today's date, which has to be based on code, because sometimes the agents will completely get the date wrong for what date it is. So it always runs code to get today's date, then it will add the date. If it's an existing file already, it will update that file. If it's not there, it will create the file. And then it comes back with some information here. Again, you can see the diff here, which we can dive into even clearer. Seeing the one line that it added, we can say keep it or reject it, but we'll keep it. And then it will come up with suggestions like this, evergreen follow-up. It will come up with new ideas. If it can save a reminder or a to-do, it will automatically do that for me and just throw them in there. And again, before I was saving a lot of this information in calendars, in to-do notes, in Apple Notes, in Google Drive. Conversations and things that I was working on in ChatGPT are now all moved into here under the ideas and different things like that. So it's really consolidated a lot of that mental overhead into one space. All right, and as you saw, I just added a bunch of text things. Again, it's just a brain dump of what I'm thinking at the time, and Eli will grab it, figure out what to do with it, and organize it for me. I could just write it out, hit enter, walk away, come back later, and it will have documents for me that I do need to save and accept. But this has just been a great way of, again, just getting things out of my head and out there. And I'll show you, again, a little bit more about what it's doing and how I'm using it after it finishes writing these notes. All right, and you can see it finished. It gives me a little summary with information here, and it updated an index in the to-dos and added a new section to my daily. It told me it didn't think I needed any kind of reminder added or anything like that. So that's where we're at. So before I go much further in this stuff, let's quickly look at the skills if you're interested. Again, I have a bunch of different little skills that it has access to. Let's look at the work to do manager. So basically this skill runs when it's creating a to-do. It knows to add dates to everything, and it kind of just sets up the structure of how I want it, where I want it to go, and things like that. So the skills work really well with the commands, and just to be able to know the structure and how to keep things structured. I didn't write all these skills. The bot wrote most of the skills, but what I found was, while I'm telling it to do things, if it does it and it does it wrong, then we start creating a skill. We go update the skill until it's resilient enough to where I know I just write it and it does it with no problem. So all of these have been work in progress and refined over time. And I do have templates here, things for like templates for the daily notes, decision log, idea page, personal pages, and product pages. So the skills and commands will pull from these templates and know exactly where things go. And again, to touch on one more aspect of this, again, I do have apps in here. I am a developer, so I kind of know how to build all these, but all these were vibe coded. They were all written by the AI and use the data in the system to build them all out. So this is a very bespoke thing that a developer would do, but another reason that I think Cursor is great for this kind of thing. So I just run all the apps with a just command, and then Cursor has a browser. It's not always easy to get to. And then I have a launcher that has the different apps that I have here. So you can see my work board here, my reminder list here, personal finance I won't show you, health tracker I won't show you. And then I've started trying to work with, this is like local LLMs and building out my own agent through this chat. Very rough and doesn't work great, but it's something that I'm playing with. But again, this is just a way for me to revisualize the things that are already in all of the information that I have here. And if I want to dive deeper, I just go straight into the files. Yes, it's just a glorified file system with AI, which other tools can do, other things can handle, but I really like using Cursor in this way. So quickly, let's run down some other ways that I'm using basically the same system. This is for TXGarage, which is a publication. So I have weekly published articles, and these are articles from not just myself, but different authors that publish to TXGarage. And I have commands that more reflect what's going on with TXGarage and different things here. And one of the great ones that I've been using it for is a newsletter blurb. So this is like each week that was published. And then the newsletter blurb, it will actually read through everything that was published and give me a blurb based on that I can add to the newsletter. And then I'll add some like personal things as well. Obviously, I have people here too, from media contacts, OEMs, organizations. So one of the cool things I can do is if I publish a review from a Ford vehicle, it will know and tell me these are the people from Ford that you can share it with and things like that. Really helpful. We also have review vehicles. So these are actually the ones that I'm driving and reviewing, and I can keep research on those. And then review prep. And then at the end of the week, I can get a video script, thumbnail concepts, social post, pinned comment, title stuff, all that for the vehicle that I'm reviewing and driving and doing a video and article on. All this is helped and built in collaboration with this project, all kind of the same idea. And again, this isn't just something that I cooked up and built in a couple of days or anything. This has been a couple of months and it's still not finished. It's just a work in progress, constantly adding either new skills or updating skills or figuring out new things to save in here or work with. Even from taking screenshots of emails and just being like, is this something that I need to worry about? Do I need to file something away? You tell me. And I know there are other tools, again, that can read your emails and do things like that, but this is just the system that I've found that kind of starts working for me. And some of the biggest surprises that I've had through it are, again, some like the daily triage where I can just brain dump into it and it kind of knows where stuff starts going after a while. You might have seen that I have this on auto for Cursor. Most tasks, because they're all laid out really well, the auto works just fine and it's cheaper to use Cursor in auto mode. And then obviously if I'm doing like a very heavy writing task or something, I'll use GPT-5.4 or even Sonnet or something else. But that's where it kind of gets expensive and maybe not worth it as much to use a tool like this for writing documents. But so again, I thought it was interesting, thought it was worth sharing. If you've got more questions, please leave them below. I'm sure I skimmed through a lot here, but obviously didn't want to share too much personal data, and that's what a lot of this is. I also have ideas for other apps and things, especially around writing and going from draft to published article. I've got a lot of ideas around that and building bespoke apps for that. I think this is kind of the key of this whole thing, is that being able to use AI as a tool and as a collaborator outside of just using it as a chat bot or as a Google lookup, and building things that are very bespoke. Like this is very bespoke to me. And if I build an app, I'm not going to be putting it on the App Store. I'm not going to be putting repos out for any of this stuff. I'm not going to be sharing my rules file. These are all things that are very bespoke to me, and I'm building them for me to help me more than putting them out there to help other people. But I did want to put the videos out to maybe help people that have ideas or could be sparked with an idea because of something they saw here. So let me know if that's you. Let me know if you've got other things, or just troll me completely for not knowing about another set of technologies that could do this better or differently. But with that, that's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching.